Good afternoon and welcome to The Rundown. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 13th of August. In a Ahmaud Arbery update, accused killers Gregory and Travis McMichael are requesting to be released on bond. The father and son are also asking for some charges to be dropped. In Salt Lake City, officer suspended for ordering a canine to attack a black man. And an Archbishop of a Florida church is selling a bleach miracle cure. And he was also arrested with his son. And Penn State students must sign a COVID waiver, discharging liability for illness, permanent disability, or death. Eric Trump likes a tweet calling Kamala Harris horrendous. And black women with natural hairstyles less likely to get a job interview. Studies reveal natural hair biases exist, and now there's proof that affects the hiring process. Let's get to the news. The two men involved in the death of Ahmaud Arbery weren't arrested and charged until 73 days after the 25-year-old was killed while jogging in Brunswick, Georgia. Now they are asking to be released on bond and some of the charges to be dropped. According to 11 Alive, attorneys for Gregory and Travis McMichael, who are father and son, say in court filings that the judge should reject the indictment's menaced murder charge and a second charge that the McMichaels attempted to commit the crime of false imprisonment. They are also asking to be released on bond. The judge has yet to respond to both of their requests, which were filed on August 6th. A bond request has been denied by William Bryant Jr., who is accused of following Gregory and Travis McMichael in their truck as they drove behind Ahmaud armed with handguns and shotguns. Bryant is also under investigation for child molestation by the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. The three men were indicted by a grand jury on June 24th. The indictment issued 9 formal charges against the three men, including menaced murder, 4 counts of felony murder, 2 counts of aggressive assault, false imprisonment, and criminal attempt to commit false imprisonment. Back in May, Wanda Cooper Jones, Ahmaud Arbery's mother, called for the death penalty. She says, and I quote, "I would like for all hands that were involved, that played a part in my son's murder, to be prosecuted to the highest extent of the law." Hey, so this is part of the portion of the particular broadcast where I tell you my personal views on these particular stories. So, with no further ado, let's get started. The first story is an update on the Ahmaud Arbery case. Ahmaud Arbery was the 25-year-old black man who was jogging in a neighborhood and was accosted by 3 white people who happened to be neighbors of this construction site that was across the street from them, that Arbery, which is proof that he has been, or that he was visiting the area from time to time, because there was video footage shown of him previously going there to drink water from his jogs, and just, look around, which of course is not a crime, but apparently to some people in white America it is. So here we have the 2 murderers looking for, or asking for, some of the charges to be dropped. as well as a bond. Now, the charges that they're looking to be dropped was menace murder charge and a second charge that McMichael's attempted to commit the crime of false imprisonment. Now, they did hold Ahmaud Arbery against his will when they took their cars and tried to block him from getting away. So that is a form of imprisonment, but the lawyer is trying to fight to get those charges dropped as well as get bond. Now, the third person involved in this, he would probably be looking to get his charges dropped as well. But, of course, the FBI, the Georgia FBI, had found some child pornography on his computer and devices. So trust and believe he'll be in jail, surpassing whatever verdict comes down from this case. Now, with that said, in the words of Don King, only in America and only in white America could you murder a man in cold blood, be free for 70 some odd days, after outcry and the video gets exposed, be finally charged, sit in jail for a while, think it's about dying down now, nobody's really talking about it. Now let's go back and ask the judge, can we get a bond for bail, as well as let's drop some of these charges. And you really think that is going to happen going to happen smoothly with George Floyd and all of these unrest and protests around the nation? I'll wait. But again, that's what privilege does. Whether you fully know you got it or you don't. The fact that the lawyer even is bringing this up, and this is recent. He just brought this, the lawyer had just brought this, I think said the 6th of August, 6th or the 8th of August, one of those. But this was recent. The judge hasn't responded to the request. And again, this is why voting is important, because judges get voted in too. And if the judge does grant a few of these requests, you can imagine the state of Georgia will be in unrest yet again. So we'll keep you updated on this Ahmaud Arbery case, and we'll see where it goes from here. But I'll be damned, the audacity, the gumption, the gall of these people is ridiculous. But I don't even know what to say. A police officer in Salt Lake City has been suspended on Wednesday and is under investigation for a vicious attack on a black man involving a police dog. Video surfaced of the altercation that took place in a man's own yard. Some of the footage may be disturbing to some.
Get on the ground. Get on the ground or you're going to get bit. Get on the ground. Yeah.
Get on the ground.
On the ground.
All the way down. On the ground.
I'm on the ground. I'm on the ground. Why are you biting me?
Good boy.
I'm on the ground. Stop.
Good boy.
Oh, you guys out.
Good boy.
What the fuck?
Good boy.
Back right now.
Holy
boy.
shit.
Right now.
Ow.
Good boy.
What the fuck?
Right now.
What are you
Ow.
What
Good
the
boy.
fuck?
Good boy.
Ow. Why are
Good
you
boy.
guys doing this? Ow.
Good boy.
I'm a fucking
Good
ow.
boy.
Why are you
Good
biting?
boy. Good boy.
Why the fuck are you
Good
biting?
boy.
Ow. What the fuck did I
Good.
do? Ow. She let me in the... Ow. What the...
Good boy. Good boy.
Ow. What the fuck did I do? Oh my God.
Good
Ow.
boy. You good, Kevin?
Ow.
Good boy.
Ow. Ow.
Good.
Stop.
Ouse.
Holy shit.
Ouse.
What the hell?
Boy.
I just get my work clothes. Jesus Christ. Let me fucking get my work clothes. What the fuck? Oh, my fucking leg.
Kilo 851, we need medical for a dog bite.
Medical for a dog bite? What? I just get my fucking clothes and go to work.
I'm waiting. Okay, so here we have this particular case where the police officer, they responded to a call of a domestic violence sort of call, and the officer, not only did the officers come, but the officers brought the K9, and as you can see in the video, the K9 was ordered to attack and continued to attack, and you could hear the man screaming, talking about his legs, so on and so forth. This officer has been suspended and they're investigating. I mean, I don't know what more investigations need to happen. If he said freeze, or we're going to attack you, or the dog is going to attack you, and he gets on his knees, that means he was of no threat. The fact that you then sent the dog anyway, yeah, again, that's a level of psyche that you do not see this man as a man. You don't see him as a man as you are. You see him as something less than. I don't know how many times I gotta say the same thing. I don't know how many times we have to see these same acts of cruelty by the hands of people who are paid to protect and serve, and still have a question on why do we need to defund police departments. Prime example. And so it's unfortunate what happened to the man, but I'll be damned. I let them cut my damn leg off, okay? Because if the bites were that severe to where in which they haven't got amputation off the table, cut it off. Because I would sue the shit out of that city, the state, whomever else. I'd go for it. Because at this point, what the hell? The police department probably got the money too. Let's sue them too. It's ridiculous. At this point, it really is ridiculous. We need to, we definitely need to do better. We need a new system, okay? It needs to be gutted. We don't need to keep some of the same folks so they can act like they got it together and wait till it calms down to go back to the same old. We need to really uproot these departments of corruption, these gangs of thugs by the police department unions, because they're nothing but thugs and mobsters. That's all they are. Mobsters with badges. That's it. We need to just wipe it clean. Get rid of a lot of these unions, these union heads that sit back and collect all this money and, run it like some sort of military operation against people of color, which is ridiculous. Hey, this is Captivating Christian here to remind you to tune in to Politics and Wellness every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Politics and Wellness every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. You never know what you might get. The self-styled Archbishop of a purported church in Florida that sells industry bleach as a miracle cure for COVID-19 have been arrested, with his son in Colombia, and faces extradition to the U.S. Raw footage posted to a Twitter feed of Colombia's top prosecutor shows Mark Grinnan and his son Joseph Grinnan dressed in blue jumpsuits and masks being led away by armed police. The prosecutor's office said that the pair had been taken into custody on suspicion of selling a miracle solution that had caused the deaths of 7 American citizens. The Grinnans apprehension came a month after the Archbishop of Genesis 2 Church, as well as 3 of his sons, were charged by federal authorities in Florida for dealing in a substance that had not been approved for medical use and could be life-threatening. The substance, chlorine dioxide, is a powerful bleach used in textile manufacturing. The Grenans marketed it as a miracle mineral solution, otherwise known as MMS, which they say, when drunk as a diluted, can cure almost all illnesses, including COVID, cancer, HIV and AIDS, as well as the condition autism. In April, The Guardian revealed that the Grenans had written to Donald Trump in the White House encouraging the U.S. president to embrace the product in his efforts to contain the coronavirus. The letter claimed MMS can rid the body of the COVID-19. A few days later, Trump went on national TV in his daily coronavirus briefing from the White House and raised the idea of injecting disinfectant into the body to fight COVID-19. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has banned Grennan and his sons from peddling in bleach. Last August, the FDA issued a public notice warning Americans not to drink MMS or similar products. Okay, so here we have a story of the reason why it is important to have someone at the helm who knows what the hell they're talking about, because we have people who will listen or hang on to any word they can use to make themselves money, i.e. this particular case in which you had a church archbishop, who was using bleach to give to parishioners as a cure for COVID-19. They even sent a letter to the president to endorse it, which he wind up saying, we talked about injecting bleach, and that's probably where that came from, because they said the letter was sent to the president before he had did that, so he could promote it. So he probably sent him the letter, he promoted it, because of course, what did he do? Probably put a check in there for his re-election campaign for him to talk about this goddamn bleach, which the people were sitting up there drinking. Now, I don't fault completely this archbishop. I fault some of these goddamn dumbasses who sit there and drank bleach, 7 of them. I mean, do we not look for false prophets? Is everything about, we do know, well, some of us should know that our leaders of faith are still human. Okay? They may have had or heard the voice of God or the calling of God on their life to lead, but hell, they're still human. And some of these you need to fix, check on your own discernment so you can figure out what's right and what's wrong for you, instead of following blindly and drinking bullshit that the president's talking about injecting into folks, and these people actually buying it because the president said so. This is why, again, it's important to know who's at the helm, because there are people gifted as they may be, special as they may be, who follow suit with what this man is doing. And then they're going to take their asses and run to Columbia. Okay? So they already knew it was BS. They already knew it was complete and utter bullshit. And they went and ran to Columbia and now going to get sent their asses back to the U.S. to face criminal charges. So they already knew it was bullshit. But anything to make money. And that's what's wrong with a lot of these churches. They're doing anything to make money off the suffering of people. And be sure to join Jay Wilson, Rebel Son, The Official King Payne, Conscious TV, and Captivating Christian this and every Thursday at 6:45 Central Standard Time, 7:45 Eastern Standard Time for the Gentleman's Panel, where we are not afraid to go there and discuss an array of topics. See you there. All students at Pennsylvania State University must sign a waiver acknowledging the risk of returning to campus amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, absolving the school of responsibility for personal injury, illness, permanent disability, or death. The document, entitled the Penn State COVID-19 Pact, first appeared August 5th when students tried signing into their university accounts requiring their agreement before being allowed to continue onto the site. The compact also includes a list of requirements and guidelines set out by the university in preparation for the fall semester, which is slated to begin on August 24th. In addition to signing the liability acknowledgement, the university's nearly 100,000 students must also agree to follow certain protocols outlined in the document, including self-quarantining for at least 7 days prior to arriving to campus and submit to COVID testing as directed by Penn State. Failure to abide by such requirements could result in a student being suspended or expelled from the university. Let's get into this story right here. So as we prepare to send our kids, for those of you who have kids, to school, whether it's to grade school, middle school, high school, or college, here we have Penn State having students sign disclosure forms or liability forms to where in which the school no longer has liability if the student happens to catch the coronavirus during this pandemic. Basically, wiping their hands of the situation, but they'll take your money. I think this is wrong on so many levels. Because let's be very clear, the parents send their children to school. They pay the tuition, some of them, with a sense of leaving their child to the school, that the school has some form of protection for them, to keep them safe. The same as when you were in grade school. It's like, if I'm dropping my kid off, I'm not just dropping my kid off thinking, oh, they're just gonna learn or whatever. I'm hoping that there's some form of protection for my child, that my child will feel safe, and if anything happens, things will fall into place to where my child is protected. So to have Penn State, and this is very telling to probably get a foresight into what a lot of the universities may be doing come the fall semester, is having these students, before they can even log in to check classes, pay for anything, have to sign this agreement, basically giving up Penn State liability for having to catch the coronavirus during this pandemic, which I think is ridiculous, because they can sit here and say, oh yeah, give me your money, but other than that, we're not going to be held responsible for anything if anything happens to you. Yeah, that's a bit troubling for me. For all intents and purposes, for all that, all you need to do is do remote learning and do it online. Because it's not that serious. If in fact you have to go through all that and basically say, you know, you could come to campus at your own risk, we're not going to be held responsible, what good are you then? If I can sit home and learn, then I'll just sit home and learn. Because I just don't see the amount of money that you pay to a lot of these schools for them to say, oh yeah, we'll take your money, but we're not going to be held responsible for whatever may happen to you while you're here on our campus, not knowing if they've actually conducted the proper cleaning protocol to protect me in the first place is absolutely ridiculous. And again, this may be a telling sign for what the universities and colleges moving forward may do. Something to think about. President Donald Trump's son, Eric Trump, endorsed a tweet calling Senator Kamala Harris a whore. President Donald Trump tends to conflict with powerful women on the national stage. In the past few months, however, he's clashed with female reporters. He's frequently called women nasty. And when faced with the fact that women are abandoning his campaign, he's called all women in the suburbs housewives, neglecting the work they do outside the home and as mothers. Already, Trump has come out swinging after Harris became the official Democratic choice for vice president, and his allies are as well. Okay, I'll wait, because this is some total BS. All right, so let's be very clear. All right, Eric Trump, I mean, you know, the ugly son, retweeted a tweet from someone basically saying that Kamala Harris was an horrendous pick for vice president for Joe Biden, right? And she spelt it horrendous, and he liked it. The word is horrendous. Let's say it together, class, and it'll be down here somewhere. That's the word. And the definition of said word for your dumb ass. Okay? The fact that we can allow this type of language from the President of the United States, their children, surrogates of the president, other members of the Republican Party, can call women bitches and all types of other language is absolutely appalling. And the fact that we don't stand up and say enough is enough is even worse, because we allow that behavior to go forth when we don't say anything. Silence is complacency. And so we need to be raising our voices, and these people need to be suspended from being able to go on social media and other platforms to spew such hatred. Because you can dislike a person's platform and political views without calling them out of their name. Because I tell you something, if she was a lily white girl, you wouldn't have called her that. It's because she's a black woman that she gets called that. And nobody bats an eyelash to even put your ass to the fire. I can't with these goddamn Trumps. If it ain't the father, it's the sons doing some dumb shit. I can't. Black women with natural hairstyles such as afros, braids, or twists are often perceived as less professional than black women with straightened hair, a new study has revealed. The research conducted by Duke University School of Business offers evidence that discrimination against natural black hairstyles is prevalent in the workplace and perpetuates race discrimination. In the aftermath of George Floyd's murder and the corresponding protests, many organizations have rightly focused on tactics to help eradicate racism at systematic and structural levels. But our individuality-held biases often precedes the type of racist practices that become embedded or normalized within an organization. To deflect biases against black women with natural hair, researchers recruited participants of different races and asked them to assume the role of recruiters. Screening job candidates. Participants were given profiles of black and white female job candidates and asked to rate them on professionalism, competence, and other factors. Black women with natural hairstyles received low scores on professionalism and competence and were not recommended as frequently for interviews compared to the three other types of candidates: black women with straightened hair, white women with curly hair, and white women with straight hair, the researchers found. In many Western societies, whites have historically been the dominant social group, and as a result, the standard for professional appearance is often based on a physical appearance of whiteness. For women's hair, that benchmark is having straightened hair. The fictional job candidates with natural hair were subject to discrimination when they were being evaluated for jobs in consulting, an industry with conservative dress norms. However, when participants considered profiles of women who wanted to work at an ad agency, the candidate's hair texture didn't affect the perception of professionalism or whether they were recommended for interviews. This may be because advertising views as more of a creative industry with less rigid dress norms. The U.S. Army eased restrictions on hairstyles for black soldiers. And in recent months, several cities and states have passed laws prohibiting discrimination against natural hairstyles for black people at work and public schools. Legislators have drafted similar bills to ban hair-based race discrimination under U.S. law. Just last month, the Crown Act became effective in Virginia, officially banning natural hair discrimination in the state. Now, this story, it's not alarming to me, being someone who has natural hair, and even when I was growing my hair, when I decided to do it, my mom was very much like, no, don't do it. It's going to affect your job and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, well, why do we have to walk around with European styles in order to be accepted and get a job, even though we are highly qualified for the job? Why can't we wear our natural hair and be just as credible and sought after as someone who had to put a chemical in their hair to straighten it? And not that I'm against it, to each his own, or to, have a Caesar haircut in order to be considered. These are things that are not fully of our culture. We're so vast in so many other kinds of styles and things that why do I have to be just limited to such a box? We would go back and forth, and I've even heard a pastor say it, that, oh, you think you're gonna nobody's gonna hire people with dreads in their head, and it's just like, with locks, like how do you know that? Clearly, if they're, first and foremost, it's a thing about presenting yourself professionally and making sure your hair is done. I've seen white people go to work look like they just rolled out of bed, hair not done, just t-shirt or whatever, just all hanging over here, and will sit at the desk and think nothing of it. And I'll be like, oh, you always dress so nice. It's work. You show up presentable. Like, he's always dressed. What do you mean? So I'm glad that certain states have been taking steps to ban discrimination to that level, Virginia being one of them. Some states are still coming around. Some states have not. Some states are even banning people wearing, locks. I think of the situation with that young man some time ago. He was on a wrestling team in New Jersey, and they made him cut his locks, and they actually didn't take him into a locker room to cut him. They cut him right there at the match because the referee wouldn't let him compete in this championship wrestling match because of his hair. And they found some scissors and cut his hair. How degrading that must have been. And he channeled all of that anger and actually wound up winning that match. But why do we have to go through that? Why do we have to be degraded in such a way? If you don't, and the thing about it is, you just don't understand it. And instead of just, oh, your hair is nice, so how do you do that? Or you go to the far extreme. I just don't get it. But again, like I said, I am happy that some states are turning around and turning a corner to move forward and not keep these symbols and ideologies of discrimination around, that we actually turning the page slightly. But we need to do a full flip, because I'm tired of this. Once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.